Nigeria has been in the state of quagmire, in the state of retrogressive decline ever since the the new president, assumption of office of the new president, Ahmed Bola TINUBU. Few of the policies, of course, he enacted has not been working. Unfortunately, have kept Nigeria in more confusion than ever. The economic policies are nothing to go by. Of course, the monetary policies, of course, have plunged the naira into more abysmally, and the free fall to naira and the exchange rate is nothing to go come by. Unfortunately, Nigerians are no longer finding it convenient or even easy to survive. The struggle for survival has become the priority of more than 90% of the Nigerian populace. Has been established by international, of course, Bureau of Statistics that more than 133 million Nigerians are below poverty line, are multidimensionally poor. By implication, that is the worst state of poverty any nation with such population could even experience. Is quite unfortunate that more than 90% of the Nigerian workforce that should have been translated into economic boom and production has been certified to be multidimensionally poor, not because the people are lazy, but because of the indifference and insensitivity on the part of the ruling class, of course, for not setting up the basic necessities that can drive economic revival and the industrial hub. For instance, the issue of electricity has become almost a nagging issue, national concern for the past 6 decades. And you begin to imagine, why is it so difficult for the successive governments to fix the nagging issues, the erratic supply of power within the Nigerian state, even when most African countries whose GDP are far lesser than Nigerian have production of electricity far beyond that which could not even imagine generating. It is quite unfortunate. The national grids, of course, has been an issue of mockery in the recent times. Imagine Nigeria with a population of more than 200 million, as I claimed, yet are still living in such denial. Producing today, it is 2 megawatts, 3 megawatts. How could that? How could such a system survive, sustain its uh, productivity? Even the domestic consumption has not been met, let alone industrial revolution that will spark industrial revolution. It's quite unfortunate. Nigerians becoming more poorer. Why? Because the monetary policy have left the Nigerian naira with nothing to desire, because it has lost more than 80% of its value. And what does that tell? You might not be surprised that before the end of July, the naira to dollar rate might hit, of course, 1,000 naira, and that is very disastrous, because it will plunge more Nigerians into poverty, and the economic activities, of course, would drastically reduce, and most people will be let out of their business, and some company may not cope up with the cost of maintenance or running on diesel, petrol, and that invariably, of course, will result to uh, most companies retrenching or cutting down or cut the number of workforce in order to meet up with the cost of operation. It is quite unfortunate, and this informs perhaps the position of Sowore Omole. Well, in as much as I may not totally agree with him based on his antecedents during 2015, using his Sahara reporters, of course, most of the propagandas that was sponsored against Jonathan was via the Sahara reporters channel or platform, which unfortunately it appears he is not in the know of the happenings. Let's pay attention to what he has to say.
This TINUBU government will make it so easy to let a revolution happen in Nigeria. You'll be surprised. Suffering in this country right now is not. I think there was even an APC boy influencer that I was saying today that even himself with all their 2,000 naira data boys, they are suffering. They are not even getting their 2,000 naira.
Even the media personnel that was bought for cheap propaganda, of course, are still complaining that even their 2,000 could no longer be affordable and has lost the value because of this negative impacts of the economic policies, of course, of this administration. You can see it now that even the money they are being paid for cheap propagandas could no longer sustain them. And they are crying out. It's quite unfortunate. Should they cry out to me or to anyone else? I think they should have themselves to blame. This is exactly what Shore submission entails, that with the foregoing, even the proponents of this administration will one of these days, of course, revolt against it, not just even the opposition. It is the force will be coming from left and right because the impact or the negative impact is being felt by all as sundry. You see, the transportation hike is affecting everyone, even though you have your car to fuel it. Of course, you don't have any separate or different filling station where you could be considered or given some discount. So this is affecting everyone. And what does that entail? Disaster is looming. Possibly, Tinubu might be the last president Nigeria ever had. But this time and season, I may not, of course, tell, but as it's telling on the Nigerian treasury, on the Nigerian economy, people are fed up with the system, and any slightest opportunity will, of course, repress their grievances uh, through revolutionary move. Well, I think that is much anticipated, but then who would trigger that becomes an endless rhetoric. Nigerians have been known to be suffering and smiling, but in most recent times, the those arguments has altered. Nigerians are no longer willing to suffer because they believe that a new Nigeria is possible. But for me, I may not agree with that. The best thing for us is to, of course, call for a referendum, and then any people who decides to remain within the Nigerian project, of course, will be allowed to remain. And if those who feel that the only way they are secured or their future is secured is to move ahead with their own sovereignty, should be allowed based on the provisions of international recognized human rights charters of fundamental rights of the people. Let me know what is your own submission regarding the foregoing, and let's see what is your own opinion via the comment section. Do you believe that this will happen anytime soon, Or do you think that Nigerians are passive or could only just make noise and eventually continue with the suffering and in the course of time possibly adjust and forget about other things? Well, I think let's know what is exactly your mind or your observations or reservations regarding this. Remain blessed until come your way in the next edition.